where you're going. Here's a place where you can take comfort in the knowing that whether if you come to stay a while or just passing through, this door is open to you. Come and let's be silent. Come and share a hug. Come, let's pray together. From love and be loved. From the blessed out to the turned out. From the pampered to the abused. This door is open to you. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. But I love recognizing the God in you. God in you. Whether you're black or white, gay or straight, Christian, Buddhist or Jew, this door is open to you.
Yeah, baby!
Please stand and join us. Please, hello, hello.
This is who we are, and we feel the love whenever we're together. This is why we're here, to serve the world and one another. We're being called to find a higher way, and to remember why we're here today, to love, serve, and remember, love, serve, and remember, love, serve, and remember who we are. This is where we grow and find the love that always sets us free. This is where we play and enjoy like-minded company. A place where we can share our joy and pain. A place where everybody knows your name as we love, serve, and remember, love, serve, and remember, love, serve, and remember who we are. And in remembering to love and serve, we're transforming lives that transform the world. And we love, serve, and remember, love, serve, and remember, love, serve, and remember who we are. Love, serve, and remember, love, serve, and remember, love, serve, and remember who we are. And remember who we are. And remember who we are.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Good morning to those watching online today. Great to have you with us. Hey, happy spring. Oh, yes, yes. Yeah, it's a wonderful time of year, that wonderful energy of new life bursting forth in us. And we had so much activity here this weekend, so we're already jumping into spring. So our men's group, we have such a fantastic men's group here. They are really, really and truly awesome. So they did all sorts of wonderful things yesterday, including cleaning out the small shed and moving things to the big shed, and then actually physically moving with, with a backhoe the small shed to make room for where we're going to put in the drainage for the new building. Anyway, here's a little video for you to appreciate just how much fun that was yesterday. Yeah. among other things, and you may have noticed this, those of you online, too bad you missed out on this. You got to come visit us because the building is absolutely gleaming. Did anybody notice it? Because they pressure washed it. So here's what it looked like before and after. I know, right? It looks like brand new. It's so, so beautiful. So special thanks to George Rice, also known as Mr. Sparkle, who has his own pressure washing business, and huge thanks to Gary Thornburg, who worked with him virtually all day to pressure wash the building. And one other improvement that we made, is big thanks to Jess Downey and Jeff Blau, is they actually painted the curbs out there a nice bright yellow. So let me just explain what that means. And I wanted to show this photo because in this photo, the cars are properly parked. The cars are parked on that side when the designated parking and not in front of the yellow curb. And so this is just a friendly reminder to please don't park by the yellow curb. And yes, red Chevy Malibu owner, this means you. We just noticed it out there this morning. And we're trying to be nice. Anyway, but it is a fire hazard, and it is unsafe for others. So please don't park by the yellow curbs. Park in the designated spots, either here or in the building lot next door, and all will be well. So thank you. And I do want to appreciate our men's group. Will the members of the men's group just stand so we can applaud you for all your hard work yesterday? Stand up, stand up. We are so blessed, so blessed. Well, unity is a positive path for spiritual living. We follow the teachings and the example of our way shower, Jesus, in seeking to more fully love ourselves, love God, and love one another. And from that beautiful consciousness of love here in unity, we honor all paths to God, all names for God, and all expressions of God. Each and every one of you beautiful souls, and each and every one of you watching online, you are an expression of God. We know that when we realize that about ourselves, that our true nature is divine, when we tune into that lovely light within us and we behold that divine light in one another, that it just grows and grows and it shines out ever more brightly and lights up the world. Our vision at Unity Renaissance is, together, a spiritually awakened world living in peace, love, and joy. And we are manifesting that vision through our mission, which is, together, we transform lives that transform the world. Let's begin our time of transformation this morning in prayer. I invite you to close your eyes, take a deep breath in, release, and let it go. Sweet Spirit, we're so grateful to be together in spiritual community today. We're just feeling that beautiful uptick of energy that is spring. We feel the unfolding of new possibilities in our lives, in our spiritual community here at Unity Renaissance. Today we are feeling so blessed and so grateful for all that has already happened in our lives and in our spiritual family here. And so we know we're each in our divine right place this morning. We are here to both give and receive blessings, and so we do so freely and with joy. And for all of this, we are so grateful. Thank you, God, and so it is. Amen.
Yeah. All right, so as the choir comes up, we'd like you all to stand and sing this great song of commitment for the universe to use me as you will.
Everything good? Everything good?
Here we go, and
Use me, oh God, I stand for you. And here I'll abide as you show in the light. Oh, invite you to let God use you as together we join in our divinity salute and turn to greet our neighbors with a bow, a handshake, or a hug. Together, the divine in me greets the divine in you. And we serve and celebrate together for the glory of God.
If you don't do it for 20 seconds, it doesn't do any good.
Love that. Well,
Yeah,
Are you ready? Here we go. Leading us to shine His light as near as you. So use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do. Give yourselves a hand.
Good morning. I'm Paul Mitchum, and I'll be your platform host for today. It's wonderful to be here. It's wonderful to see you all out there. And I'll be doing the daily word today. And today's daily word is based on writings and experiences of one of the most prolific characters in the Bible, certainly the most prolific writer of the New Testament. And he talked about being certain, being assured, certainty, assurance. So please join me in reading today's affirmation. Together, all things are possible through the ageless omnipotence of sacred self. The Apostle Paul frequently wrote about the pain and suffering he endured in the course of his missionary travels. He described his difficulties not as complaints, but to emphasize his certainty of the ultimate glory of our Christ mind and that it's infinitely greater than our mortal limitations. In Romans 8:18, he said, I consider the sufferings of this present time not worthy of comparing to the glory that will be shown to us. That same spirit of certainty moves me through my day. My intentions may not be realized. My mind seems to be focused intently on obstacles and fears. But still, I move gratefully forward, knowing that nothing can stop the spiritual power that is my true identity. And again from Romans 8:18, I consider the sufferings of this present time not worthy of comparing to the glory that will be shown us. And we have prayer chaplains for all your prayer needs, for your celebrations, and for your triumphs and for your challenges. And our prayer chaplains can be recognized by their prayer stoles, and they are located in the prayer chapel, which is across the northex from the sanctuary. And let's all please stand for the singing of the Lord's Prayer.
Which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is
I'd like you to think for a moment of a time in your life when you were pleasantly surprised by how much people cared about you. It may have been that they showed up to help you move, or maybe they came to visit you when you were sick, or they reached out to you after you lost a loved one. Maybe they just all showed up at your surprise party. The truth is that all of that good came your way because you have put that same kind of good out into the world. You see, all the love and kindness and support that you have given to others has come back to you. Well, now I'd like you to think about a time in your life when you felt very angry and judged and mistreated. Perhaps you were locked in battle with a certain person. Maybe you felt they were out to get you, or they were speaking badly about you. You may even thought of them as an enemy. And the truth is, yet again, that what you have put out into the world has come back to you. Whatever times you've mistreated others or spoken poorly or gossiped or undermined, it has come back to you. Well, darn. So you don't like that second part so much, right? But the fact is that whatever we send out, whether positive or negative, comes back to us in some form or another. We reap what we sow. And Emmett Fox writes about this beautifully in his book, The Sermon on the Mount, which we've been studying for these past 5 weeks. And he says this: "It is the law of life that as we think and speak and act towards others, so will others think and speak and act toward us. Whatever sort of conduct we give out, we are inevitably bound to get back. Anything and everything we do to others will sooner or later be done to us by someone somewhere. The good that we do to others we shall receive back in like measure, and the evil we do to others in like manner we shall receive back too." And then in case we aren't getting the point, he gets even more specific. "For every unkind word that you speak to or about another person, an unkind word will be spoken to or about you. For every time you cheat, you will be cheated. For every time you deceive, you will be deceived. For every lie that you utter, you will be lied to. Every time that you neglect a duty or evade a responsibility or misuse authority over other people, you are doing something for which you will inevitably have to pay by suffering a like injury yourself. With what measure you meet," in other words, with what you give out, the measure that what you give out, "it shall be measured to you again." That's a little daunting, isn't it? You know, I believe on some level we know this. On a deep level we know it, but we don't always act that way. You know, a lot of times we think we can just get away with our bad behavior, speaking poorly to someone or gossiping or whatever it might be. We think that they'll forgive us, or maybe they'll be powerless to retaliate. We think that the deed that we've done will be forgotten, or maybe it won't even be discovered at all. That's not the way this works, because this is a law. And the law is that what we give out will return to us in some form or another. As we give, so we will receive. Now, I realize that for some of you may be thinking, "Oh, it sounds a lot like karma." Well, I think it's different from karma. For me, at least, when I think about karma, karma often pertains to multiple lives, to past lives, to sort of unfinished business from previous lives, and it's really about kind of evening the score over time. Whereas this idea of we reap what we sow is really meant to be more of a guideline for how we live in this life. You see, to pay attention to what we are receiving and realize that we have sown the seeds for that in some way or another, that it will come back to us. And so this is why Jesus says in the 7th chapter of Matthew, he says, "Do not judge so that you may not be judged. For with the judgment you make, you will be judged. And the measure you give will be the measure you get. So he's really saying, if you judge others, you're going to be judged. And the way you treat others is the way you will be treated. And then he goes down a few lines from there to say, in everything, do to others as you would have them do to you, for this is the law and the prophets. Well, of course, we know this as the golden rule, correct? Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. And I think it's so fascinating and beautiful that that particular teaching, worded differently, but that same teaching is found in all of the major faith traditions. Well, you'd think we would get it by now, wouldn't you? But Emmett Fox takes it a step further because he realizes that any action begins in thought. It begins with what we are holding in our minds. And so he rephrases it to say, think about others as you would wish them to think about you. Right? Because our actions follow what we think about others. And what would we want other people to think about us? What would we want? We would want them to see the good in us no matter what. We would want them to behold the divine in us. That is what we would most want, and so that is how we are to hold in mind other people. You see, we're all one. Beyond these specific incarnations and the differences among us, we truly are all one. We're all part of the one great mind, the one great presence of God. We're all connected, swimming in the same sea of infinite mind and intelligence. And because we are all connected, when we do harm to another, we harm ourselves. And when we help another, we help ourselves. And so Jesus knew this, and he says, stop judging other people because it's hurting them and it's hurting you. And then he says, and oh, by the way, who are you to judge anyway? As we have heard before, familiar passage. Why do you see the speck in your neighbor's eye, but do not notice the log in your own eye? I would love to hear how he said that. Anyway, or it should be like, hello. Or how can you say to your neighbor, let me take the speck out of your eye while the log is in your own eye? You hypocrite. First take the log out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to take the speck out of your neighbor's eye, if indeed we bother with the speck in the neighbor's eye at all, right? So that can instill a lot of guilt in us, right? I mean, he just called us a hypocrite after all. That doesn't feel very good, and we fall into the habit of judging people from time to time. But that's not the point. It's not the point of this teaching for us to wallow in guilt about the things that we've done in the past that are now coming back to haunt us. You see, that's one way of relating to this idea of you reap what you sow, is to feel very threatened and fearful around that. But the fact is, what happened in the past, you did the best you could at the time, learned from it, and move on. And the lesson here, the real beautiful and very powerful lesson is, you can make different choices going forward. Now, sow the seeds for the results that you want. This is such a powerful teaching. You are the designer of your own life. You are creating it. Learn from what has come before and sow the seeds for what you most want going forward. And so we can ask ourselves questions like this. What do I want my life experience to be? What do I want more of in my life? What do I want more of that I can give more of to the world? You see, if we want more love and kindness and support in our lives, then we need to give more love and kindness and support, correct? If we want to have more friends, we need to be a good friend. If we want people to care about us, we must care about them. If we want greater financial good, we must share the financial good that we have. It's the law of circulation. It continues to build. Be in the flow. As you give, so you receive. And it works. You see, Emmett Fox says that we are really like the kings of our own kingdom, or queens, if you will. That we are, he says, the monarchs of our own kingdom, and our kingdom is our consciousness. You are the complete ruler of your mind and your life experience. And he says this, you're the absolute monarch of your own life. You make your own conditions, and you can unmake them. You make and unmake your own health. You attract to yourself certain kinds of people and certain conditions, and you repel others. You attract to yourself riches or poverty and peace of mind or fear, entirely in accordance with the way in which you govern your kingdom. And your kingdom is your consciousness. Wow, that's a lot of power. You know, a lot of times we fail to appreciate our own power or to even recognize that it's there. And more often we tend to think that our life circumstances, our life experience is determined by outer conditions and other people. We really give up our power. But our lives aren't determined by the outer. They're determined by the inner. Some of you may have seen this. I thought it was an incredibly inspiring story this last week about a little boy, 8-year-old boy named Tani. Tani is his nickname. And he's a Nigerian refugee. He and his family are Nigerian refugees living in a homeless shelter in Manhattan. Well, one day, a little over a year ago, the chess teacher came to his classroom and taught the kids how to play chess. And Tani loved it so much, he decided right then he wanted to be in the chess club. And from that point forward, every day he would go home, and for hours and hours in the evening, he would lie down on the floor of the homeless shelter and practice playing chess. Over and over, he would practice it, holding this dream for himself. And you know, life wasn't easy for him. It wasn't easy being homeless. Sometimes he would come home from school crying because he had been teased about either being a refugee or being homeless. At an immigration hearing last fall, he burst into tears when he misunderstood the judge to say that his family was being deported. Can you imagine what he was living with? But his parents, everyone in his family, is very determined to make this work. And his father worked 2 jobs, and his mother has just become certified as a home health care provider. And little Tani was every bit as determined and directed as they were. And he had a very big dream. He said, I want to be the youngest chess grandmaster. Yes. And he is already making incredible progress in that direction. He has won 7 trophies. Most recently, I love this picture. Most recently, he won in his category for the New York State Chess Championship. I love that picture. That trophy's almost as big as he is. And that's his mom, and that's his brother in the background. It's a beautiful thing, isn't it? His parents have been so wonderfully supportive. They believe in him. They're cheering him on. And his father said, the U.S. is a country of dreams. And you see, little Tani could have given in to anger and bitterness. He could have withdrawn and been filled with despair. His fate in life could have felt hopeless. But he chose not to do that, and instead he sowed seeds for his own learning, for his own growth, so that he could excel and succeed. And he is thriving. And someone told me after the first service this morning that as a result of this story getting out, they'd been crowdsourcing funding for him, and they'd raised enough money for his family to move into an apartment. Because he was on purpose, and he was sowing the seeds of goodness. And it all was coming back to him. And you know, just like him, we can live the life of our dreams. And indeed, I believe this is the whole meaning of the Sermon on the Mount It is all about laying hold of the power within us, this incredible power within us to manifest the health, the prosperity, the love, the joy, the peace that our heart most desires. We have this power within us. We are powerful beyond measure. Think about it for a minute. You're in charge of your life. It's like you're standing in front of a blank canvas with a paintbrush, and you are painting the picture of your own life. It's incredible. Jesus wanted us to know this. A lot of times we don't know that, or if we do know it, we're afraid of it. Have you ever felt afraid of your own power? It's a little intimidating to think you're in charge of your own life. Sure, sometimes it can be. Get over it. So there's this great analogy. Thank you. That slipped out. So, but there's this really great analogy. I love this analogy that Emmett Fox uses. He says this: God has given us dominion over all things, but we shrink like frightened children from assuming it. Although that assuming is the one and only escape for us. In other words, laying claim to our power is the one way that we can escape the clutches of the ego and the games and the limitations of this human life. He says, mankind is often like a fugitive who sits in the driving seat of an automobile, which is all ready to bear him away to safety. In other words, you've got all the faculties here, you've got all the capabilities to be free. We're like sitting in the driver's seat, but who cannot bring himself for nervousness to grasp the controls and start the car. He sits there half frozen with terror, glancing over his shoulder, wondering whether his pursuers will catch up with him and what will happen to him if they do. He could make his escape into safety at any moment, but he will not, or dare not. You see? Kingdom of heaven is at hand, and the keys are in our hand. The keys are in our consciousness. The power has been given to us. You know, there's a song I think called Jesus Take the Wheel.
Carrie Underwood.
Okay, he would know. And I think Jesus wanted us to take the wheel, right? It's like, take charge of your own life, people. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. Change your consciousness, change your life. Stop doing what doesn't work and do what does work. Reap what you want to sow. Give what you want to receive. Love the way you want to be loved. Treat others as you want to be treated. This is not rocket science. It's all here for you. A beautiful realm of peace and love and joy is what God longs for you to fully enjoy. So everything that has happened in our lives to this point has been prelude for what is to come. And we can look at it that way and realize that we are learning and growing with each step. And now we are poised on the brink of laying hold of our own innate creative power like never before in this spring season, bursting out into new life. And I'll close with a quote from Emmett Fox as we conclude our study of his book today, because he puts it all in perspective. You know, the times with you reap what you sow, that we have reaped negative consequences, and the times that we reap the positive. And he says this: take this into your own heart, beautiful people. Is it not a beautiful and encouraging thought that all the prayers you have ever said in your life and all the good deeds and kind words for which you have ever been responsible are still with you, and that nothing can ever take them away? Errors of thought, word, and deed are worked out and satisfied under the law. But the good goes on forever, unchanged and undimmed by time. You are that good. You are that light. Shine on. Let's turn now to our meditation. I invite you to get comfortable in your seat. Take a deep breath in. Release and let it go. And one more time, a deep breath in. This time as if breathing in through your heart space, feeling the fullness of life. Release into the allness of God. And breathing in and out in this sacred present moment. Feeling the peace of God within you. I invite you to appreciate that this now moment is the culmination of your past and the beginning, stepping off point for your future. And in this moment, imagine as if you are standing in front of a blank canvas, the canvas of your life. You are the artist, holding a paintbrush, many beautiful colors to choose from. What will your painting look like? What do you wish to show up on your canvas? You are in charge. I invite you to feel the sacred presence in this exercise and open yourself to divine guidance as you stand before your canvas and listen for what is yours to paint in the silence. Let me take a moment to give thanks for our spiritual journey to this point with all its twists and turns. We give thanks for our way shower, Jesus, and all of our other spiritual teachers in pointing the way as we realize and embrace the power within us and create the life we most want to live. Thank you, God, and so it is. Amen.
Spirit
This is a time in our service for sharing our love offerings in support of this ministry, giving and receiving. So I invite you to hold your gift in your hand. And those of you watching online, you're invited to either give online via PayPal. I believe there's a link there. Or the easy way to do this, and also for those of you who are present here, you can give on your smartphone now. You just text the word give to the number
540
418-1228. That's 540 418-1228. You know, there are just so many great things about giving via text, but one of them is if you're somebody who typically gives via credit card, you have the option of covering the fees so that they don't fall on the church when you give via text message, and you can also set up recurring giving. It's very, very convenient, so you might check that out. All right, well, the ushers, please come forward. I invite you to hold your gift in your hand or your phone in your hand, as the case may be, and let's bless our offering with our offertory blessing together. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. Give and it's given back to you. Give and
Here's Sister Lily to tell you all about the law of mind action. Lily turned 20 yesterday.
You've got to be the light if you want to see the light. You've got to be the light if you want to see the light. Reap what you sow, you meet what you know, and you see what you believe.
Give a little bit of that good thing if you want to receive.
You've got to be the love if you want to see the love. Reap what you sow, you meet what you know, and you see what you believe. Give a little bit of that good thing if you want to receive. Give a little bit of that good thing if you want to receive.
Somebody gotta quench your thirst. But you better get your head straight first.
Be the light. See the light. Be the light. See the light. Reap what you sow, you meet what you know, and you see what you believe. Give a little bit of that good thing if you want to receive. Give a little bit of that good thing.
Give a little bit of that good thing.
Give a little bit of that good thing. Give a little bit of that good thing. Give a little bit of that good thing. Give a little bit of that good thing. Give a little bit of that good thing. Give a little bit of that good thing. Give a little bit of that good thing. Give a little bit of that good thing.
way to go, Lily. God, can you believe Lily's 20? I sure can't. Man alive. It's great to have you back. Let's take a moment to turn within to gratitude, also feeling grateful to our online givers today, and just feeling the blessings of this day. Don't you just love this place? Man, I love this place. So we're just so grateful for these gifts, for our time together, for the gifts that we share. We're grateful for the gifts. We're grateful for the givers. And now we send these forth to do God's work in the world, through and as us. So it is. Amen. Thanks, guys. You did a super job. What does that say? Flawless like mom. I love that. All right. Very Justice League. Way to go. All right. This is the time in our service when we welcome those who are new to Unity Renaissance. If you're here today for the first, second, or third time, I invite you to raise your hand nice and high, holding up the appropriate number of fingers, 1, 2, or 3. Great. Depending on what visit it is for you. 1, 2, or 3. Hold your hand up nice and high. They'll come to you. Ushers, we have some on the middle row here, middle aisle. Woohoo! Nice. They'll get to you. Please be patient. If you're here for the first time today, there's a little card in that bag. You fill out that card, take it into the bookstore, and you can get a free CD that's a copy of a previous service. And when you're here for the second time, thank you, Lisa. You're here for the second time, you get 2 CDs. One is of positive, uplifting music from Empower Music and Arts. The other is Sacred Recordings from Unity. She's going to get more for you. There we go. Nice problem to have. And when you come back for the third time, you get a copy of our daily devotional called The Daily Word. Lisa, we have one more right here in the second row. Very good. All right, well, welcome to all of you, and it's great to have you with us. We look forward to seeing you again.
Yes. So, earlier today I was teased because I said how excited I am, but I'm still excited.
I'm so excited.
So this Friday, Reverend Michael Beckwith will be in the area at Unity of Tidewater. So come on out and see him. I've got my tickets. That's one of the reasons I'm excited. 7 p.m., and he'll be speaking on conversations on the emerging edge. So it should be very interesting at Unity of Tidewater, 7 p.m. Tickets are $20, and you can get them online. You can see Ardell McCoy, who's a congregant here, to buy your tickets. So.
Yeah, Ardell's selling them out of the narthex today. Make it nice and easy for you. A week from today, we're going to have a fabulous multi-generational service. Please plan to be here. It'll be incredibly inspiring to see our young people and how enlightened they are, really. But it's a multi-generational service, but they've put it all together, been working very hard on that. And after the second service, Brian Egan will be leading a sound bath meditation with the singing bowls, that kind of thing, with his son Shannon. We're asking a $10 love offering for that. That is a fundraiser for our Youth of Unity. So it's going to be a great Sunday. And oh, by the way, because it's featuring the children next week, we will not live stream the service. Instead, we're going to rebroadcast one that I did a couple of months ago on Unity 101. So you might want to tell your friends about that one.
Very interesting. So also later that day, please join us here for a viewing party for the Posse Awards. Should be great. At 7 p.m. right here in the sanctuary, we're actually going to stream the Posse Awards award ceremony here, and you can come and join us. There's going to be lots of fun. There'll be some refreshments and some door prizes, and at 7 p.m., and you'll be able to see Richard and all the other Posse Award presenters there, and it should be a lot of fun.
It's going to be, should be.
Should be a lot of fun. It's going to be great.
A week from this Friday is our next Higher Consciousness film. We're going to be showing the wonderful, very inspiring, very moving. Bring the tissues along with you for this one. Film is called Same Kind of Different as Me. It has been highly recommended here, very powerful. And it has to do with the topic of homelessness. And so what we're asking for this, even though the admission is free and the popcorn is free and all of that, if you feel so inclined, we're inviting people to bring something for the homeless in our community. Specifically, we've been told that they could use toiletries such as toothbrush, toothpaste, soap, shampoo, that kind of thing, or socks. Socks are always much needed as well. So we will have that on Friday, April the 5th at 7 p.m. And here's a preview of that film.
I had another dream last night.
Was it a good one, or was it about me?
It was about the poor wise man who changes the city. I saw his face.
Man, my God, you guys showed up. Debbie, I got a sales call, 6:30, I gotta drop off contracts going to town.
No, you don't.
Any infectious diseases floating around this place I should know about?
Martin told me about your friend. If you don't tell Debbie, I will.
We've been married 19 years. your mind? They're looking for handouts. They're using their hands for work.
Couldn't figure out why he wanna know me. Done some bad things.
You're one bad man, and I'm glad we're friends. Very sexy what you did today.
Hanging out with the homeless guy.
How was it?
Actually, it was kind of amazing. Some things you need to know about Miss Debbie. She's the only person to love you enough not to give up.
I love you, Ronnie Ray.
Whether we's rich or poor, we's all homeless. Just working our way back home.
Denver changed everything.
Our lives together will never be this beautiful.
I, along with most of the other members, have a problem with you bringing your friend around.
You can tell by yourself, he's standing right there.
April 2019. Great movie.
Okay, speaking of sewing, on April 14th, we're going to have a blood drive here for Bloodmobile. And it's a great thing to do. Those of you who are able to give blood, please consider giving blood. And it means a lot to those out there. So here's a short clip on the impact of giving blood.
Molly has a very dynamic personality. She's a very busy, happy little girl who takes great joy in the small things in life.
When I grow up, I want to be a teacher. I like to teach in my bedroom and teach my stuffed animals.
Molly has beta thalassemia major that results in the body not making good hemoglobin, so she is transfusion dependent for life. Molly is really fatigued before a transfusion. She knows it's time to get her blood, that her body needs it. And then after her transfusion, another kid comes out. American Red Cross has been phenomenal for us. It's taken one of the fights in my life away.
When I get my new blood, I feel better.
Molly and I have learned that there's a common ground and that it is making the most of every day. Because I know what her life would be without blood donations. She wouldn't live.
Let's make this our most successful blood drive yet. What do you say? Yeah. Please sign up to give. There's a sign-up sheet out there in the narthex. You never know the lives you may be saving just by taking that little bit of time. So that concludes our announcements. This is where we're going to say online. We're so happy that you're with us. We look forward to seeing you again next week, either online or in person. And with that, we're going to welcome in our kids. However, we are switching things up a little bit. We have kind of a new rendition of our song to welcome in the children. So I invite you to stand and just follow the lead of the choir here. They're going to teach it to you.
You ready, guys? 1, 2, 1. We are one.